Have you ever given your students a task that you thought they'd enjoy, given them plenty of class time to complete it, supplied resources, and then wondered why it was unsuccessful? Why the kids weren't that engaged and were still looking to you for the answers? If you want your students to learn independently, you need to teach them some particular skills to support them to be effective learners. Independent learners set their own learning goals, monitor their progress, and evaluate their learning to help manage their own motivation for learning. But they need to learn those necessary foundational skills to do that. This is part of a series of effective teaching strategies you can use to help your students develop independent learning skills. And in this video, you'll learn 11 necessary skills that a student needs in order to be independent, how they can take responsibility for their own learning, and how they can learn to manage their own motivation in learning. You'll learn effective teaching strategies that increase student independence, maintain engagement and motivation, and reduce off-task student behaviour. Fostering independent learners has a proven high-impact, low-cost way to improve progress. And the Education Endowment Foundation, the EEF, found that self-regulated independent learning has a high impact on pupils' progress for a very low cost. In the report, What is Independent Learning and What are the Benefits for Students?, it was found that the benefits of independent learning for students include improved academic performance, greater motivation and confidence, more chances to be creative and intellectually creative. It fostered social inclusion and worked against alienation from peers, and it increased opportunities for completing differentiated tasks that are set by the teacher. I'm Mari Amaro. I'm a teacher, presenter and author, and I've been working with students and teachers for over 30 years. I'm passionate about helping teachers improve their teaching strategies and learning practices, and I combine research and experience to provide teaching strategies that improve student learning by improving classroom management. I focus on the practices that take little or no extra time, strategies that can actually give you back time by helping you to work more effectively. I love coaching teachers, and I emphasise teacher wellbeing because improved teacher wellbeing means improved student wellbeing, and that contributes to better academic and social outcomes for all your students. If you'd like to learn more, please subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so that you receive notifications. We put out videos twice a week, so make sure you don't miss the content. And if you'd like to share any of these teaching strategies with your colleagues or family or friends, please do so. If you have any questions or topics that you'd like me to cover, please let me know in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you. When I was teaching Year 6 quite a number of years ago, I naively thought that giving them a project with clear guidelines and expectations would give them the freedom as well as the boundaries they needed to be motivated and engaged. I learned pretty quickly that even though I gave them the scope to do the work, they did not have the skills to use the class time that I gave them effectively, or not to leave it to the last minute. I didn't feel that they even enjoyed the task that much. What I needed to do was to scaffold the work for them and provide resources, instruction, as well as inspiration for interest in the topic. Simply giving them time and a project outline was not enough to cater for different levels of literacy, organisational skills, self-regulation and motivation. All students need to learn the foundational skills for independent learning. Being an independent learner does not mean being left to your own devices. It means that the role of the teacher becomes teaching these skills in order to learn independently. And if you use the gradual release of responsibility model, it will reduce student anxiety and overwhelm, because as you teach the skills, you'll give them measured amounts of independence as they develop their confidence. Your students, as I thought, will not become independent learners just by giving them the work and leaving them to it. What your students need to learn is how to learn. Number one, discuss with them what it means to be independent. Depending on the grade level, students will have learned many ways of operating at school, depending on how they've been taught in the past. If previous teachers have valued being correct, not making mistakes, great performance in tests, then that's what the students will value. I recently worked with a student in Year 11 who will only participate in assessable tasks. And when we consider what we value in schools, particularly some schools, why wouldn't he only value assessable tasks and ask why should he do anything else? Number 2, time management. Many teachers request time management skills in my workshops, and it's an ongoing issue for many people. Learning some skills around time management will help your students in their study, and your students could research different ways of managing time and try them out, evaluate the processes and see what works. Number 3, planning. Introduce students to planning tools that can support them. Share with them how you plan your work, what that looks like, and the pitfalls that you've found. Give students opportunities to plan an event and then reflect on what worked and what could have been improved. Share that plans can always be reviewed and revised. Nothing has to be set in stone. Number 4, leading on from that, you can involve students in your lesson planning. So get them to think about what do they need, what's the best way for them to learn, would they like whole class instruction, small group instruction, individual work, group work, when do they understand the most and the best, and what do they need in order to plan a lesson or to plan anything. Number 5, teach them how to set effective goals. These could be set by the teacher, as we mentioned in other videos, and use the gradual release of responsibility model. You could use a process like creating SMART goals, so that you teach goal setting by brainstorming what does a goal need, what goals do your students find inspiring, what goals do they want to achieve, and what does it actually mean to set a goal. It gets students to be setting short-term, medium-term and long-term goals. Maybe goals just for a lesson would be a way to start. And get them to set goals for various activities and then share them with the whole class. Number 6, you may have to address a change in mindset so that students understand that we learn from failure. You can teach this by using effective questioning, providing time for self-reflection, and accepting and expecting mistakes. And you can check out the work of Carol Dweck here, and also check out our videos on how to develop a growth mindset with your students. Great tips and steps on how to actually do that. Number 7, praise persistence. Sticking at something that may be hard. For example, recently when I was doing some of these videos, I had a lot of trouble with the sound, getting the sound to work. And I'm not a tech person at all. And I had to persist to get it to go because I was on my own. So I spent 3/4 of an hour to an hour fiddling with what I knew, changing the things I did know until it eventually worked. And at the end of it, I had a real sense of accomplishment. But I could have actually chosen to be disheartened because I'd lost time, valuable time that I could have been doing videos. So it's all about your mindset and your perspective. Number 8, along with praising persistence, praise hard work, because what Carol Dweck's work has shown is that students who are praised for hard work are much more likely to keep going when things get tough in other situations. Number 9, model self-reflection. This may be challenging, but think about videoing your own lessons to see where you're being successful and where you need improvement. Professor John Hattie says that teachers are only aware of about 20% of what's going on in their classrooms. If you video lessons, that can help you improve your teaching practice because it will give you effective feedback around what's working and what's not working. Number 10, ask better questions. John Hattie's research also showed that teachers ask 150 to 200 questions per day, and most of them are process or lower order questions. When we think about the 2 main purposes of teacher questioning, they are 1, to check for understanding and address misconceptions and inaccuracies, and 2, to encourage dialogue, deeper thinking and to share ideas. The crux of good questioning is to encourage thinking. Due to time pressures, teachers can use questioning off the cuff and not really give much thought to developing quality questions. But in the interest of developing independent learners, get students to brainstorm high-level value questions that are prompted by sentence starters such as what if and how come and what would change if. What I used to find is that planning my questions in advance could help me, and I'd even write them down so that I was going from process and knowledge questions down to evaluating and analysing information. Number 11, share with students your self-reflection on how well you use questions. You can reflect on your use of open and closed questions, lower order and higher order questioning, and use Bloom's taxonomy to craft questions, because Bloom's taxonomy actually provides the verbs at the start that make it really easy to understand what you're meant to be doing. Check out our other videos on how to develop independent learners in your classroom, the benefits of doing that for you and for them, and how you can do that more effectively in your classroom. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and happy teaching.